brought forth and supported a carbon tax, I am appreciative of the long conversation and hard work that has resulted in the proposal before us today. I have come to recognize that this cap and invest proposal is far less punitive on businesses and our economy. It has a market-based tool that will help provide resources for mitigation and adaptation to the impacts of climate change. I am dismayed that it has taken so long to convince people that we need to start addressing this problem head-on and sooner rather than later. The costs of inaction will continue to grow the longer we wait. We are actually experiencing some of the worst fears that we only spoke about in theory a decade ago. I returned to Alaska, where I lived for 8 years during the 70s and 80s, the year after I proposed that carbon tax. I went to go see Portage Glacier, one of the most famous sites in our country. In only 2 decades, the loss of ice was so dramatic that you could no longer see the glacier from the viewing area. And the signs of the permafrost melting is also evident, and it is releasing large amounts of methane. Many of us have stories and experiences like this now, but to me it's unacceptable that we can look at the evidence we see around us and continue to delay implementing a program to help reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. The state of Oregon has great potential to help our planet by sequestering carbon with our force. There is no doubt about that. If they're managed correctly, they could have tremendous impact. I am excited that the resources that became available under this program will provide projects and jobs for mitigation and adaptation. There are also strong labor standards and worker protections for projects funded by the program. Construction projects receiving more than $50,000 from the Climate Action Program must provide health care, retirement benefits, and prevailing wages on the construction side. They must comply with federal and state wage and hour laws. They must comply with model labor, workforce, and contracting rules, participate in apprenticeship programs, and require that projects use American products. Projects that receive more than $200,000 worth in the Climate Action Program funds must use project labor agreements for construction projects. And each biennium, the legislature shall appropriate $10 million into the Just Transition Fund to help Oregon workers by supporting economic diversification, job creation, job training, and other employment services. Financial support to workers dislocated or adversely affected by climate change is also in this package. Meanwhile, there are well over 800 local businesses all across the state who support this legislation. They recognize this is about providing dollars for the mitigation and adaptation that we need. They share the understanding this is the emergency of our time, and we need to get started in taking more significant steps to address it. California has implemented a very similar program more than a decade ago, and their economy has continued to grow at some of the highest rates in the country. Colleagues, this is a solution that can be fair to workers and have the support of businesses and looking toward a clean energy future. Colleagues, we cannot ignore this any longer. I strongly urge your aye vote on House Bill 2020.